Welcome back to Our Ventura TV. I'm Lyn Fairly, and I'm proud to have Doug Halter as my guest today. Welcome, Doug.
Thanks, Lyn. It's a pleasure to be here.
Doug, you've done a lot for this city for the amount of years that you've lived here. But one of the most exciting things you're involved with is the new, and I should say new-ish, because it's been around for a little while, but we're here to let everybody know about the Botanical Gardens.
Absolutely. You know, I appreciate this opportunity because I absolutely love Ventura. I've been here for almost 30 years. I'm extremely fortunate to have the opportunity to be involved in many different aspects of our community. I've learned a lot, but it's truly one of the best places in the world to be. And today, I'd love to share with you about the Ventura Botanical Gardens and how it started and where we're at and what it's really going to mean to this community.
Terrific. So it was about 2004, 5, and whose vision was this originally?
Yeah, originally it was, you know, time goes by so quick, but it was 2004, 2005 is when we first started the whole concept of would a botanical gardens make a difference in our quality of life for those of us who live here in the city of Ventura or in this region of Ventura? And Midge Stork, who has since become a very good friend, and she is somebody that she may be a true senior citizen, somebody that's older in years. I think
seasoned citizen.
A seasoned,
I think is what we say.
My gosh, but she has more energy still than an 18-year-old.
Oh my goodness!
And she came up with the idea, invited a handful of her closest friends, and I was part of that group, to discuss whether or not this would make a difference for our community. And we emphatically said absolutely. When we look at all the different benefits that a botanical gardens can do for a community, from giving an opportunity, a venue for people to share community, develop relationships, make special moments, get exercise, education, learn about the environment, about plants, and about how to be good to our environment and to our ocean that we see from many parts of our botanical gardens. But nonetheless, we started the whole process and formed a nonprofit, Ventura Botanical Gardens, and began a site selection, which included many sites, 17 different sites actually across the county. And it came down to 3, but one of them stood out far higher than the rest of them.
Literally.
Literally.
Because it's straight uphill.
It's pretty straight
City
uphill,
Hall, yes.
And it was so underutilized for 100 years, really. And that's Grant Park. Most of us knew it as Grant Park. It's been a city park for well over 100 years now. And as you know, the city's been in existence for 150 years. We all know about the cross that was put up there when Junipero Serra first declared this area for Spain, you know, 200 plus years ago. But nonetheless, Grant Park is 107 acres. It does not include the cross. The cross areas is one separate acre of a nonprofit owned by the Cross Conservancy. But it's 107 acres. We had gone to the city Parks and Recs and gave them our full-blown business plan and vision to have 10 to 20 acres developed into botanical gardens. After about 3 or 4 months of negotiations and discussions with City Hall and many different staff members, it became clear that we needed the entire park.
That's huge.
So about, I think it's been about probably 2008 or so, we did a lease option. Basically, the city agreed to lease Grant Park in different sections to us as we reach certain milestones. We exercised our first lease option in 2012. So what that means is the first 30 acres of that park is now being created into a world-class botanical gardens.
And world-class it'll be because it'll be 5 Mediterranean gardens, I believe, correct?
It's 5 Mediterranean gardens, which means basically it's the 5 biomes of the world that are most similar to our climate. So it gets the same amount of rainfall, the same amount of seasons and temperatures. So the plants that we'll be planting up there are plants that would naturally grow in this environment.
What are the 5 regions in the world? So let me guess, Chile is one of them.
Chile is one of them, yep.
Well, of course, we're one of them.
We're one of them,
so
too. We've got 3 more to go.
It would be South Africa.
South Africa.
Australia.
Yep,
and
one more.
One more.
It's the hard one. The one that's called
the
the Mediterranean. Yes, exactly.
Of course.
So those are the 5 biomes. And the great thing is that while only 2% of the landmass of the world has a Mediterranean climate, which, as we all know, is truly the most fortunate climate in the world. Over 30+% of the plant species of the world are native to that climate.
Is that right?
So it doesn't really limit what we choose to grow up there to a large extent. But we did hire Mia Lear and Associates to create a master plan. That master plan showcased exactly where these different gardens should be, and because of a variety of terrains and how the plant materials would normally be seen in those locations. We created the plan for educational facility, which included classrooms, lecture facility, restaurant, up at what we always knew as a picnic area of Grant Park. There'll be a heritage center to help celebrate and point people to the other historical elements of our community, from the 3,000 years that the Chumash were here to our museum that showcases our life in more modern times. And let's see, there's also an entrance that will be right above City Hall. There's an upper parking lot above City Hall for those people more familiar with Ventura. And that upper parking lot is part of the first 30 acres, and that will be our entrance, our gateway. That would have housed at some point soon a bookstore, an educational opportunity, a kiosk where you could get information. But what's been really exciting, Lynn, is I find really exciting, is it's taken a lot to get to this point. And there's a lot of times people don't realize exactly what creating something, what it takes in this day and age to do that. There's the master plan, the business plan, the environmental opportunities and constraints analysis, which is really about how will this change of this natural park impact the community and its surroundings. And then we had to go through California Environmental Quality Act, which is a legal process to verify and show if we have any impact that's negative on our community, how are we going to mitigate those impacts. Sounds like a lot of paperwork, a lot of time, a lot of money, and it was. But you know, it's a process that we had to go through, and we made it through all that.
And I think you also hired a botanist who's currently your executive director, who's very, very familiar with each and every one of these plants and helps with the selection of the plants in the garden.
Joe Cahill is extremely knowledgeable, to say the least. And I think we're very fortunate to have him, as he's working as an executive director right now for the Botanical Gardens. Actually, the second paid employee that we have. But we have a lot of volunteers. I mean, to date, I think we now have about 4,000 or 5,000 people that have either donated or volunteered for the Botanical Gardens. And I was mentioning what's been really exciting is that since we made it through all the paperwork and all the processes, we now have an approved master plan that we could work toward to actually create. So every dollar that's donated to us goes towards building this garden. And that's exciting because the this entire project is privately funded.
That's amazing. And so if someone wants to either volunteer or donate, they can do that. You can find out that information at the website, which is?
Ventura Botanical Gardens.com.
Okay.
Very easy to find. But you could also enjoy it today because we've done a lot of work already.
I did.
Did you go up there?
I hiked it. And it's very easy. It's a moderate hike, and I
really
like
is.
the fact that it's uphill, but there's a lot of switchbacks, and there's some marvelous views of the ocean. And recently saw a photo of it on your Facebook page of what it looks like at sunset.
It's beautiful.
Oh, spectacular. I can't wait to hike it during sunset.
Lynn, there's no site in this county that is more duplicative of why we all live in this region than that site. So I got to tell you, anybody who has not been up there really needs to get up there. We created what we call our first trail or first demonstration trail. There will be many of these trails up there. Ironically, this trail is exactly where the Chilean garden will be. So we've started planting Chilean plants. We have over 160 varieties of species of plants already planted up there.
It's remarkable, and the stonework is pretty. The paths are safe. I saw little kids, I saw pets, I saw people, tourists, and I saw people in hiking boots and jackets with walking sticks. It's just a lovely place and space to be. Plus, I also saw people celebrating, and that they also have the option to donate memorials.
That's exactly right.
As well. So talk a little bit about that option.
Well, first, just to complement what you just said, is that we're currently we have ambassadors that are walking the trails all the time, and we have people who do some statistics reporting for us. And we know that over 3,000 people a week are using that trail.
A week, 3,000
3,000 people a week.
Oh, that's terrific, already.
And what's really exciting is when you hike that trail, everyone says hi. It represents our entire community from different economic levels, different racial backgrounds. And it's so exciting to see people building community and getting to know each other and getting exercise and enjoying the natural beauty that we have, you know? But one of the ways that we're funding the garden is it's an opportunity. There's many different ways. We have fundraisers throughout the year. We have a step-by-step campaign where you could donate money to sponsor a foot of trail. But what you're referring to are people who have actually given significant money to actually sponsor a site, and they could have their name or their family's name on it. It's really an unbelievable way to leave a legacy in the community that we all love.
Because talk about legacy, it'll be yours and all the people who thought of this in the first place. This garden will grow and be there for hundreds of years for your kids' kids to enjoy, and it really will be a world-class garden.
Lyn, it's so exciting because, like I said, we have done so much together as a community to create phenomenal creative outlets and ways to enjoy being here on the most dynamic coast the world really has ever seen, in one of the historic original cities of California. And yet, the reality is that oftentimes we're funding things that happen for a day or for a season. This garden will get better and better and better as each day, each year goes by. Imagine when Golden Gate Park first started. Imagine when Central Park, when somebody said, and they said, let's start, Central Park in New York, let's plant something. Imagine what this will look like, not just 10 or 20 years from now, but 100 years from now.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting.
It is.
So I want you to hike the trail. There's an app, too. Talk a little bit about the app.
It actually talks to you as you're walking down the trail, and it's GPS oriented, so as you're on different parts of the trail, it will say, if you look to your left, you will see such and such, or you see the ocean if you look over your shoulder to the right. You see these birds that are starting to nest, or they start nesting in May of every year. But there's a lot of very interesting information that is part of that story trail. So
join us on the trail, please. Look at the website, which is, once more, please.
Ventura Botanical Gardens.com.
Volunteer, donate, hike the trail. Thank you very much, Doug Halter, for being my guest today on Our Ventura TV.
Well, I really enjoyed it. Thank you for the time.
Oh, it's always my pleasure. Stay tuned for some more awesome programming.
Okay.